encountered. So when people tell me about Bigfoot give off orbs and they send you love and all this stuff, tells me, they're listening to either the wrong type of people, reading the wrong stuff. I don't know, maybe in different areas, but Canadian Rockies is out in the middle of nowhere. And we were out in the middle of nowhere. We weren't looking for anything like that. I didn't have a weapon on me because you can't take a weapon into Canada anyway from the United States. I didn't even have a knife. I had absolutely no protection at all. What am I going to do? Take my $5,000 camera I had at the time and hit it over its head like it was going to do something? Or am I going to throw a 8-ounce rock at it while it throws a 10-pound boulder at me? Oh, come on.
Right. You're going to run like you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to go to break, and after break, we're going to have our guests on. We'll be back 3 minutes after the hour with Ken Gerhard talking about cryptids on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. Maybe. Let's get this music going.
Selfish and cruel since his youthful days in school. His siblings he never did treat well. His self-centered bent was his dark side lament, with a focus on hypnotizing spells. He memorized laws to help sharpen his claws for a future for which he was bent. The time would surely come when for office he would run and claim he was just heaven sent.
Another politician has just taken center stage. He tells all the people that he loves them so. He comes on like a sage, says with him they should engage. A false prophet selling endless empty prose.
Stepped over dead bodies on his climb to the top. The highest post was his aspiration, but he forgot to read the fine print in the contract that he signed, which caused a U-turn to his final destination. He continued on his pathway of destruction and decay, never thinking that his wicked life would end. He never did take stock that the devil is not mocked, and all those broken fences will not mend.
Another politician has just taken center stage. He tells all the people that he loves them so. He comes on like a sage, says with him they should engage. A false prophet selling endless empty prose. He feels no lament for the lives that he spent. A jackal who thinks he can't be touched. But there will come a day when the devil's birds of prey paint their canvas with his lost soul's carrion brush.
He was with his favorite call girl and his black limousine, doing lines of coke and drinking cold champagne, when it heard the distant rumble of 1,000 bat-like wings, an explosion which causes his to pain.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, and thank you.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Now, John, I told you, cut that out. I can't say I'm the best. I can't say I'm the worst, but we are on the internet and we are on the radio. Let's get a hold of Ken Gerhard and we'll talk about cryptids and all that stuff. So we'll get him on here. Hey, Ken, is
Hello?
that you?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me, Ken?
Yes, is this Gary?
Most of the time, depending on who you are.
Hello, Ken.
Hey, guys. Are there two of you?
Well, I'm here,
Yeah.
and then James kind of, is learning the ropes, how to be a talk show host. So I'm kind of mentoring him.
Awesome. Hi, James.
How you doing, Ken? Happy to have you on.
Oh, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, hey, Ken, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself and, what you do and all the different shows you've been on, and then we can get into cryptids. I don't know if you've been listening to the show at all, but I explained my experience, what I ran into in the early 2000s up in the Canadian Rockies, which I would never wish on my worst enemy.
Wow. Okay. Well, we might have to revisit that. But I'm a cryptozoologist, which the translation from Latin means the study of hidden animals. So essentially, I look for evidence of animals that have not been verified by science. And we think that a lot of the so-called monsters and legendary beasts around the world, things like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, the Chupacabra, Thunderbirds, some of those things may actually be undiscovered animals, perhaps prehistoric survivors, or who knows. They're, obviously very rare. But anyways, I've been very fortunate in my life. I've traveled all over the world to 26 different countries, every continent except Antarctica. I've investigated many, many things. And I've appeared on, been blessed enough to appear on lots of TV shows. Missing in Alaska was a series I did on the History Channel, Monster Quest, Ancient Aliens, Unexplained Files, so on and so forth. And I've written, 5 books now, because I've got a 5th book that's brand new, and we can talk about that as well.
Oh, yeah, we can. No, what I was talking about here for the last half an hour, in the early 2000s, I took a break for a 10-year cycle out of, broadcasting, and I managed a chain of camera stores, professional stores up in the Tacoma, Seattle area. One of my good customers was a medical doctor. He just finished his internship and was opening up a practice in Puyallup, Washington. And, me and him would go out, like Oregon, California, take pictures of lighthouses and old ghost towns and stuff like that. We had this thing. We needed to go up to the Canadian Rockies and take some pictures of ghost towns. And there was an old World War II internment camp. And we wanted to go take pictures of that and silver mines. I'm going to cut the story really short, is that we went up and we found the internment camp, had to go in maybe about 2 miles from a side road, which wasn't much of a road anymore. And now this was like a beginning of June up in the Canadian Rockies. There was still some snow on the sides of the road. It was not warm. It was still kind of chilly. And we hiked in. We found the old internment camp. There was nothing much really left of it. It was built on the side of a mountain. And between where the internment camp was, there was like a creek. And here's the mountain. And that area was noted for like silver mining for many, many years, going back to the 1800s. And my friend goes, "Oh, look across the creek over there by that mining equipment. Get a picture of that bear." And he had a wide angle lens on his camera. I had a nice telephoto. So I swung around to take a picture of this bear. And about the same time I saw the so-called bear, it saw me, and it screamed like the loudest, longest scream. To make it worse, it echoed from the side of the mountain there. So you had all that noise. And that's when I realized that wasn't a bear. Now,
bears don't scream.
No.
That's for sure. So, wow, that's quite incredible. Well, of course, what you just described is very similar to thousands of Bigfoot sightings that have been documented since the 1950s and before of, people in the woods, and they see an animal they mistake to be a bear because the size is very similar and the color and, of course, hair covered. And as you said, but these things, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, they obviously are not bears, but primates or more likely hominids. And they walk like us, which is what really freaks us out, is when people see them walking. They swing their arms and they have a cross-limb coordination just like humans do. It's a little different as far as how they walk, but it's close enough to where they look very human-like. So,
well, what I really noticed about this, Ken, is when it decided to come after us, And I tell you, it scared me like you wouldn't believe. We took off running. I know that I only turned around once, during the run back. And I saw it running between 2 and 4. And that's what I saw. And it was very alarming. But the story goes on more. And I all I can tell you is whatever it was not a draft dodger from Vietnam that went up to the Canadian Rockies and decided to live. It was not a hairy man. Whatever this thing was something I could never describe, other than it was not human and it was not an ape.
Wow. And also, I forgot to mention, that's well stated on your part, the vocalization that you witnessed, that's a very commonly described, and that's one of the things that's very compelling about all of the Bigfoot accounts around North America, is they're very similar things are always described in terms of the physical characteristics and the behavior and the vocalizations. So what you described, screams, very, very common, whistles, howls, moans, teeth clacking, and, some grunts and things like that. And they may also mimic animals, but, there aren't a lot of there are animals that can make unusual noises. We have to acknowledge that. But a scream is that's a very human-like vocalization for sure, or primate-like at least.
Well, I can tell you it was aggressive because it chased us all the way back to the car. And I can tell you, I don't know if it was its mate or a friend or companion or whatever. We got back to the car. And I remember I was the first one getting back to the car. All I could think about was getting away. And I got into it and started the car, and that's when my friend grabbed the side of the door as I was starting to gun it and drug him. But this creature, it threw a huge rock, and it took out part of the front fender on the passenger side. It took out part of the door by the seam. And it was very aggressive. And even before it threw the rock, okay, now I didn't see the rock come, but I felt it, it was a major impact to the car. But what right. I saw when we saw this, whatever it was, off the tree line, which was about 25 feet, maybe 30 feet away from us, it was bending a tree over. It was like 4 inches around, bending it over like nothing. And it screamed again. And I can remember the smell was so pungent. It smelled like urine, musk, and, everything else. And it was so pungent, it burnt our throats. That's how strong it was.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you just went down a checklist of Bigfoot sightings. Okay, It's got to throw a rock, it's got to smell bad, it's got to chase us. No, it's very common. That's what people describe across the board. So, if you are in the 18 to 20% of people that think Bigfoot might actually exist, then that sounds like a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch that you encountered. And, of course, the location, Washington State has more sightings than any other state, although California, Oregon, very close,
Yeah, this is the Canadian Rockies out in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, yeah, Canada too, British Columbia and Alberta. So, well, wow, that's right. I thought you had mentioned Washington, but you said you had, okay. Well, yeah, Canadian Rockies too, sightings up there. Anywhere you have elevation and wilderness is where these things are reported. So I would like to, this is just my opinion, as most of these things are. It's all speculation, but, there are, rock throwing is obviously a display of aggression. Chasing is often described, but it seems like more of a territorial thing, because everyone says that these things can move so incredibly fast. If it chased you, it would catch you if it wanted to catch you.
That's what I was saying. That's what
so
I was saying.
it was trying to get you out of its area. It was, marking its territory, which is very common in the animal kingdom. That's what it sounds like. So.
Well, it did a good job, I tell you that.
Yeah.
Like I was telling the listeners, I left probably $2,000 worth of camera equipment because I dropped my bag. I didn't even go back to get it. That was the end of it. That was the end of ever going into the woods again. I have never gone anywhere near the woods since that happened.
Well, I spend a lot of time in the woods, and I have over the past 40 years, and I'm sitting here talking to you right now. So, I've been in a lot of active areas. So, I honestly think, of course they are very scary. They're gigantic. They smell bad. They scream. They chase, they throw rocks.